Okay, it's 20% of your total grade, and it's due on Friday, November 15. Either you send me this file directly to my email, or you can submit through the Google form. Either one that convenient you. So for today, let's recap on the Dhamma Group 5 real quick, and then we move on to the Dhamma Group 6. This is what's going to be on the test. Okay, the file that I send you is covering Dhamma Group 5.1 and 5.2, but here is the only Dhamma Group 5 that I really want you to focus on. We talk about the kamma, the heavy kamma. It's called anantariyakamma. That most Buddhist people should be understanding this concept about the kamma. But this one, the Buddha focused on something called the anantariyakamma, which is the kamma that will take effect right away after a person, whoever commit this one of this kamma or the combination of these 5 kamma, it will take place at the dead moment right away. It's considered heavy kamma. And then the second subject that a student should study is the subject of regular reflection or reviewing. This one called Abhinhapaccavekkhana. For the monk, this should be a piece of cake, because this is what you chant every day, right? In the morning and evening chanting. And you should, remember them by heart. This one, the Buddha suggests both monk and the lay people to reflect on the daily basis. We'll get to that in a moment. And the third one is the benefit of listening to the Dhamma. And number 4, 5 hindrances. And the last one, the 5 quality of a new monk. Okay, and this not just for the monks that you should be aware, and for the lay people, I also feel like it's benefit for you to know as well about why a man become a monk, and what do they need to learn, what do they prepare, what do they have to be practice when he ordained. And that give the lay people another view when they look at monk, so they can find way to support the new monk as well. The concept of karma in Buddhism is something very important, right, as we know. If someone can prove that there is no law of karma, whatever you do has no consequence, then the whole teaching of Buddhism will be collapsed. But this law of karma, the Buddha discovered, it's already there, it already exists in the nature, in the realm of existence, whether he exists or not. That's something that he discovered, and he gave us the insight of what it is and how we can live with the law of karma. Just to keep it simple, the law of karma is, you do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. There's nothing get lost in this universe. Keep that in mind. And the cause of karma come from defilement. Defilement forces us to commit karma. And the karma will yield the result. It's called the vipaka. That's called the vicious circle. This one will keep on over and over without our awareness, because we born ignorant. We don't know anything about this, law of nature. That's why a lot of people still keep on breaking precept, not aware of the consequence that they might have to face, sometime later in the future. If everyone aware of the law of karma, I believe that the world would be easily get rid of all kind of problem that we're having at the moment. Killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct. If you kill someone, you're gonna get killed. Would you do that? If you steal something from someone, your possession, your treasure will be stolen as well. Would you do that? Because whatever you do keep coming back to you. So you probably should to do only good thing, right? Okay, there are 2 slides that Long P would like to share with you. This one is the first one, the gravity of karma. Okay, karma means action. Sometimes another meaning of karma is work in different contexts. Okay, but in this case, karma is the action. Can be positive action and negative action. Both of them, both negative and positive karma. If the person have been accumulate those kind of action, let's say doing bad, keeping on breaking precept, at the moment of death, this is the indicator of which kind of karma will take effect first. First one is called karu karma. You will hear this word again. Karu means heavy. The heavy karma will take effect first, right? Like this. You think of if you were to throw the rock from the top of the buildings. At the same time, you throw the bird feather. Same time, you let go from your left hand and right hand. So this one will hit the ground first because it's heavy. is heavier than this one. This one will go slower, but eventually it will hit the ground. Right at the moment you let go the rock and the bird feather, the rock will right away hit the ground. Why? Because it's heavier. It's very heavy. The heavier it gets, the sooner it will hit the ground. Same idea with the karma. Heavy karma will take effect first at the moment of death. And then there is something called asana karma, or death proximate. Asana karma means the karma that happening in that moment, that the man or the person is about to die. Let's say the person may not have extremely bad karma or extremely good karma, and at the dying moment, somehow the mind pick up some good deed that he has done. Maybe yesterday he was offering food to the monk, or he make donation to build a chapel, and all of a sudden the mind catch that picture, that image. It make him feel good, and that is the energy of the karma that he think at the dying moment. So this one will take effect if the mind occupied with those kind of energy that he can recall. And if there's no 1 and 2, and then the third karma will take effect, we call ajinna karma. Ajinna means habitual karma. Habitual karma is quite interesting, and to me, I strongly everyone to kind of pay attention to this one. Habit, when you think of habit, you think of autopilot, right? You brush your teeth, you do laundry, the way you eat, the way you walk, it's your habit. You don't have to think of how to brush your teeth. If your mind get used to doing something good every single day, like a man ever wake up in the morning and he meditate every day, or he offer food to the monk who walks arms round past his house every single day, there is no single day that he miss giving, or he observe 5 precepts his whole life. The mind get used to be wholesome in terms of observing precept, in terms of giving, in terms of meditation. Or a man with a loving kindness, always forgive, always forget, always reach out and help people. It's become his nature, it's become his character. That's called the habitual karma. Imagine if a person lying down on the bed at the hospital, his body is so weak, all medical equipment, oxygen mask, the doctors, the nurse around, the person may lose conscious. But in the subconscious level, the mind know what to do. That's called habitual karma. So if the mind get used to be sabai, be relaxed, be forgiven, reach out to help or make donation or observing precept, do all kind of good thing, the mind get used to that. That's called habitual karma. So that energy will take that mind to the next realm, which most likely is going to be the happy realms. Oppositely, if a person habituate the mind to be violent, to be stingy, to be lazy, drink, gambling, sexual misconduct, keep on breaking precept his whole life, and that's become habitual karma of that mind, of that person. Of course, it's going to go to different places comparing to the first one, right? And the last one, number 4, if no of these 3, that will give option to the last kind of karma. It's called kata karma. It's the reserve. What is meant by reserve? It's the accumulative karma, which not the karma that doesn't fit into one of these 3 categories. Like maybe a little thing, we in our whole life, we do good and do bad all the time. Good, bad, not good, not bad. Good, bad, not good, not bad. More or less, sometimes some karma we don't have intention, right? But it still has some effect. But this minor karma will take effect last if none of the above that show up in the dying moment. So this one will come. And this is considered the anantariyakamma, the 5 immediacy deeds. Anantariyakam, this is the heavy karma. If one commit one of these karma, this karma will take effect first. No matter how good you have done your whole life, if you break one of these, if you commit one of these karma, it will take effect first. It considered heaviest karma, just like you throw the rock from the top of the roofs, the rock will hit the ground first. First, killing martyrs, one own martyrs. Second, killing one own fathers. This considered heavy karma in Buddhism. I don't know about the West. Maybe there's no such concept exists, but this is what the Buddha teach. Killing Arahant, this we may not be able to do that because we don't know who is Arahant, right? Injuring the Buddha, this is also impossible because the Buddha doesn't exist no more. The last one, causing the Sangha, okay, break the Sangha community, break the unity of the Sangha communities into different groups. That consider one of the heaviest karma that will take effect at the dying moment of the person. So please keep this in mind and keep this information with you to reflect. Okay, that's how serious of the law of karma. Without knowing this, we will end up suffering. This happened to many people in the past, even in the Buddha time. You think of Venerable Mokkhalana, one of the greatest disciple of the Buddha, right? He is the master in the psychic power. But in his last life, when after he attained arahantship, he also get beaten by the group of thieves. So he was killed by them because of his previous karma that he killed his own parents. You see, arahants still have to pay back the debt of the karma, negative karma that they did in the past. Okay, but after this life, after a person achieves arahant, then there's no karma can follow them for the future because there's no more rebirth for them. You see, karma is something, sometimes it's quite scary because we don't know what we did in the past. Now we born, we don't have ability to go back in the past life to check, what kind of good, what kind of bad that I did in the past. So the Buddha teach us not to live life carelessly because things that we did in the past will keep on hunting us and we don't know when it's going to take place. This is in the dying moment. If a person can think of good things, he may break precept like this one. Do bad, sometimes go drink, go dance, right? At the same time, he also make donation. He also very faithful, Buddhist followers. So in the mind, we don't know what kind of picture or what kind of bun or what kind of bab, what kind of merit and demerit that the mind will cling on at the dying moments. It's difficult to know. If the mind don't get used to the wholesome state at all time, it's going to be difficult to make sure that to meditate in that moment and hope to die in peace. This is very challenging. So some people do a lot of good things in their whole life, but in the last moment, he may get annoyed with something, worry about possession, worry about money, worry about children. The mind, with the worry mind is not a good mind, even though he has done good things his whole life. If the mind cling on one little thing that worry him, that the last consciousness may continue to an unhappy realms. That's something quite scary. So when the mind is defined, unhappy destination may be expected. And when the mind is undefined, happy destination may be expected. That's the summary of the Buddha. So we can put into practice. If tonight you go to bed, you can recall your good thing and the bad. You don't have to recall your bad thing, okay? You see, if you can think of 3 good things that every time you think of it, it brings yourself, happiness and joy. Can you think of those 3 things right away? Or how long does it take for you to think of the good thing that you have done, that you impress the most? Some may take 30 minutes. That means, you may not have a lot of good things that you impress. That power is not strong enough. You should be able to think of it right away. Okay, if I'm going to die tonight, I'm going to hold on in this picture. I'm going to think of this merit. So think about that, at least 3 things tonight. And the second topic is Abhinhapaccavekkhana. Okay, I'm going to go through this real quick because this is something we seem to be familiar with. This. The Buddha suggests most the lay people to reflect on this on the daily basis, every day, often, about the nature of life. A lay person or a renunciate should often review or reflect on these 5 subjects. First, old age. We subject to old age. We're getting old every breath that we take. We also getting ill. We're not exempt We cannot escape from death. We cannot escape from old age. We cannot escape from sickness. Even though you may feel physically healthy, but the Buddha said in healthy body there is an illness inside. We just don't know when it's going to happen, but it's in there. And also the third one is we liable to die. We not exempt from death. In the living being there is a death inside us. Just like the bomb, that the clock starts ticking the moment that we born. And we don't know when that bomb is going to explode. But now the clock is ticking. That's something we should be aware. People feel like, oh, people should die at old age, 70 years old, 100 years old. That is a careless thinking, a very careless thinking. Young people die, right? Sometimes children die before fathers, mothers. Sometimes they die at the teenager, sometimes they die as adults, sometimes die at old age. It depends on the karma that each individual has been accumulated. And number 4, we must be separated or parted or separated from all the things that we love. So separation will come. And the last one, the Buddha strongly emphasized on, we are subject to the law of karma. We cannot run away from our own action, good and bad. You do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. So by keep on reflecting on this, is give us a peace of mind. At the end of the day, that you may facing all kind of trouble. Some people may give you a hard time, If you reflect on this nature of life, whether people that you love or people that you don't love, they love you or they don't love you, they all subject to this law of nature. They get old, they get ill, eventually they die. We as well, we get old, get ill, eventually we die. And we will separate from everything that we love. Same thing, separate from something that we don't like, equally. And we subject to the karma, this one. A friend of mine, so last month I lost 2 people that I love. One is my aunt, another one is one of my best friends, same age, 53 years old, rich and successful businessman as an engineer. He make himself a business empire from having nothing. Born in a rural area of Thailand, study hard in Bangkok, and set up his own company. He worked from scratch, start from zero, until he become a multi-millionaire in Thailand from his own hand. Young, handsome, healthy, good families. And all of a sudden, he came to the hometown for the funeral, and because of the flood, he cannot fly home. So he make decision to drive home on his Mercedes-Benz, good car. And on the way back, because of the rain, he has the car accident, so he died in spot right away. On that night, he did not make it back to Bangkok without have no chance to say goodbye to wife, to children, to the customers. And that is something I still have a hard time to believe that this is real, because he's a good man, smart, supportive. Why good people die too young? He can do a lot of good things to this world. So I keep complaining for a little while. Even though I teach the Dhamma, I still cannot accept that my friend's not supposed to die in this kind of situation. He did not. He's fully conscious. All of a sudden, car accident just come. And that is life. So we have to accept that and we have to move on. Okay, separation will come. Okay, death will come. Sickness will come. Getting old, this we understand. We get old every day. We get sick from time to time, but we don't know when death's gonna come. But we know that it will come. So prepare for that. If we prepare every day when it's come, we have some sort of immune system for ourselves, for the mind to be aware and to be accept that. So we don't maybe not too much overwhelming by those fear about death. Okay, so this another topic, which is again is something that you familiar with. Okay, the Dhamma, the benefit of listening to the Dhamma. So every time you hear the Dhamma, these are the 5 benefits at least that the Buddha mentioned that you will gain all the time. Whoever give the Dhamma talk and you listen to them, this is you will get. If you put your ear, your eye to that Dhamma talk, okay, or Dhamma study, first you will hear something that you never been heard before. Second, you will have a chance to relearn what you have learned. Even though you may come across the same Dhamma topic that you think you know already, you listen, you study already. If you listen for the second time, third time, the fifth time, you will not understand them the same as the first time that you learn. That's the beauty of the Dhamma, especially when you meditate along with the Dhamma study. Third, it will let go the doubt in your mind. And number 4, it helps to strengthen the right view. And number 5, every time you listen to the Dhamma, it's about finding peace and happiness, right? Peace of mind. The mind become clear and the mind become happy. So these are at least the 5 basic advantage when you have chance to listen to the Dhamma. For me, I like this one the most. I don't know about you. It's about having the right view. Because listen to the Dhamma is like you allow yourself to receive the new input. Input refers specifically to the teaching of the Buddha. The Buddha is an enlightened being. Whatever he teach us from his enlightenment, not just from sit there and think, oh, I think this is true, I think this is correct. No, he realized this truth through his advanced meditation, to this law of nature, to the law of anicca dukkha anatta, to the law of karma. All of these come from his enlightenment. So, and when we have this input, it's helped us to have a new way of looking life through different lens. That's why I call the right view or right understanding. Before, you may not know the law of karma or the benefit of precept, the benefit of meditation. Now you come and learn, and that information got you thinking, oh, maybe there is a benefit of me observing 5 precepts. There is a benefit of me continue to make effort to give donation, or continue to sit and meditate, or continue to keep coming back to listen to the Dhamma. And that is the right view. That's something that's the probably the most benefit, because how can we get the right view if we don't have the correct input into our brain or our thinking? And right view come from hanging out with good friend, and that good friend will take you to the right teaching, which is to the listening to the Dhamma, or find a good teacher. Whatever teaching I hear that is conducive to something wholesome, I shall listen with attentive ear, examining it, reflecting on it, absorb it with all my heart. This is how you listen to the Dhamma. This is the Buddha teach the Venerable Kassapa. When someone gives the Dhamma talk, whether that person is younger than you, maybe have less worldly education than you, less worldly life experience than you, but he is sharing the teaching of the Buddha or the Dhamma. So you should pay attention to what that person is about to say, or is saying, or is sharing with you. So you will learn something. If you feel like, oh, I already know this Dhamma topic, give me something more advanced. That means you don't have this attitude built. You are careless. The moment we feel like we know, that means ignorant. Because in the reality, there are many layers of Dhamma that we think we know. You think that you understand meditation, but there are many layers of meditation that you have no idea what it is. There are many layers of precept that might be surprise you. The longer you observe precept, you might get to that experience later on. That's the idea of put your life into it when it's come to listen to the Dhamma. And next one, hindrances. Hindrances. This word all the meditator we familiar with, right? Hindrances. The Pali called nivarana or nivarana. Nivarana mean what? Something that blocking you, something that preventing your mind, to be calm, to be focused. That's called nivara. So we think of 5 things, right? The sense desire, kama shanta, the payabhat, the intending to harm others, or agitation mind. You get cranky about something. That's fall into this category. Sense desire is anything, anything that the mind like. Human, animal, object, or even crave for the previous wonderful experience that you had last week. That's considered the kama tanha. You crave to have that experience back in this session, which you may not get it. The more you crave for it, the more you run away from it. That's how the mind works. And the third one is called drowsiness and torpor, the tina mitta. You feel sleepy, you feel unfresh, the mind become drowsy. That's the Tina Mitta. Number 4 is Utthaja Kutkucha. This one is about restlessness and worry, remorse. You feel the mind keep on thinking non-stop, and the mind feel guilty about your own mistake in the past, what you said to your friend, you break precept. When you look at your own action, you feel guilty, and you keep on thinking about that non-stop, and you don't know how to stop that thought when you meditate. That's the idea of this one. And the last one, this guy usually came last after you surpass all of these 4. Now you have doubt in your meditation. When you sit, you try to still the mind somewhere in the body, let's say at the center of the body. You feel relaxed, no sense desire, no anger. You don't feel sleepy, the mind has no thought, and all of a sudden you start experiencing something that you never experienced before. You may see the bright light, you may feel like the body disappear or the body expand, and now you start questioning that experience. Is this image that I see is real? That is doubt. And when you start doubting your experience, the experience fade away. Just like you play game, right? There are many levels in game. When you win the first level, you move on to the second, the third, the fourth, which is will more difficult. Same thing in meditation. If you surpass this level, there will be more defilement, a refined defilement that waiting for you inside. That is why in this meditation journey, we need the teacher along the way, because we don't know, we don't have a lot of experience as the teacher has, right? So doubt will come. There was one of student that I had a chance to discuss with him. He said when his meditation, he was in a very deep meditation and no sleep. He know he was awake, feel fresh, no sense desire, doesn't want anything, no agitate. The mind super peaceful. And all of a sudden he noticed that he feel like he's standing on top of the cliff. The cliff is very deep. And he was afraid to jump into that cliff. He doesn't know what to do. He fear. If he jump, would he die, or my spirit will leave the body, or what's going to happen if I decided to jump into that cliff in my meditation? So he just opened up his eye and then experience goes away. What would you do if you were him? Would you jump? Would you quit? So in the darkness and nobody there, you alone, and that experience is waiting for you to experience. And the teacher or our meditation instructor usually suggests us, you know what, go ahead and jump to see what happens. Okay? No one die in meditation practice. Keep that in mind. So don't be afraid. You can be afraid for first few times, but the third time, please go ahead and jump to see what happens. Okay? All right. And now the last one. Okay, for the group of 5, the quality of new monk. Okay, to see if the new monks here, if you still remember, we did talk about this already. The new monks, those who have not long gone forth. What does it mean, not long? What consider new? How long? New monk is 1 to 5 years. If you ordain in this period, you consider a new monk. It's called Navaka. Okay, it's called Navaka. You are a newcomer in this Dhamma and discipline, or the teaching of the Buddha. Those new monks, they should be encouraged. They should be settled. They should be sustained in these 5 qualities. So this is the instruction of the Buddha that gave directly to Ananda, his personal attendant. You know what? If you ordain someone, or if you have a new student, this is what you must make sure that they build. They encourage them to build it, help them to settle it, and help them to sustain it. Don't just let them ordain and just pray around, have nothing for them to do. First, restraint in the Patimokkha. The new monk should know what they can do, what they cannot do, what they should do, what they should not do. On top of that, they should know the manner of the monk, how to dress, how to walk, how to eat, how to do things as a monk. There's a lot to learn in the first 5 years. What about chanting? What about meditation? What about Dhamma? Okay, first get to know the rule first. You from different background, different culture, all of a sudden you become a monk and you want to be a good monk. The starting point to be a good monk is to have an open heart and willing to learn. Teach me how to be a better monk. What kind of rule that I must follow? What kind of thing that I should be aware? Please guide me. That should be the attitude for the new monks. And the second thing is called sense control. Controls what you see. There are 5 sense door, right? What we see through the eye, what we hear through the ear, or what we hear through the ear. We will learn about this in the next subject. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch, and what you think. There are 5 plus 1 equals 6. This is the mind. 5 door from the body, and 1 door is the door of the mind. Altogether 6 door that we can communicate to the world outside. If you don't control your sense door, there is a problem. You open up all the door for the enemy to come and attack you. Talking about the defilements. If you see what you're not supposed to see, if you hear what you're not supposed to hear, then it distracts your mind. You cannot stay focused in your practice. When you break precept, let's say number 1, right? You know what you can do, what you cannot do. When you break precept, your friends can tell you, hey, brother, please don't do that. Please don't say something like that. Please don't eat like that. Please don't do something like that. If they're kind enough, they will tell you. And that got you thinking, oh, maybe I do something wrong. So if you're smart enough, you would reflect and you would adjust so you don't make the same mistake again. And that's the first one. But the second one, this is about you know yourself. Nobody know what you think. Nobody know. If no one know what you think, you are thinking bad. You open up the door for the defilement, the craving come to your mind, and no one know. If no one know, that means no one can help, right? If you all of a sudden you go arms round in the morning to the village, you hear the beautiful music go to your eyes. Go to your ear, which is happen to be the music you like. Or you see the ad on the television about the new iPhone, the new computers, and that picture come to your eye and go to the mind. That sound that of the song go to your ear and go to the mind. And when you come back to the temple, the song still play in your mind while you eat, while you do the show, even when the meditation, or the picture of the iPhone, the new computer is still in your mind. Or sometimes even the image of the beautiful woman that you may accidentally see them in the village. So that can distract your mind and you will lose focus. Then if the mind cannot focus, then it gives rise to all kind of unwholesome state of mind. So that's why sense control comes second. And it's more difficult to practice. First, you focus on the first one first. And then the Buddha suggests, Ananda, make sure you teach them how to control the sense door. Okay? So how do we control the sense door? We cannot make the eye blind and make the ear deaf, so we cannot see, so we don't have to hear, we don't have to see. No, we cannot do that, right? So when the tip is, whatever you see, you just see. Whatever you hear, you just heard. Whatever you smell, it's just the smell. Whatever you perceive, it's just the perception. You don't elaborate. The moment you start to elaborate, that's called mental formation, which gives rise to craving. And that craving will lead us to suffering. And number 3 is limit in conversation. New monks usually talk about what? They don't know much about the Dhamma. So when they're together, they may talk about their lay life experience, about family, about traveling, about the work that they do, which is not in line with the life of the monk. We should stay focused on the Dhamma and meditation practice. So if the new monk is mindful on the conversation, mindful of eating, then the monk will have a good meditation and the mind will be more relaxed. And number 4 is to live solitude or in the remote area or the secluded area where the monk can focus on meditation practice. This doesn't mean that when you ordain you have to be in the forest, okay? You can be the monk in the city. But the idea of this means that when someone become a monk, that person live the lay life to be a monastic life or the ascetic life. The life that's living a sense pleasure world. That's what it means. You live the sense pleasure world. So you secluded yourself from the phone, from the computers, from friends, from family. That's what it means. If you ordain but you still live the same, live life the same way, still using the phone, calling your friends, watching television, reading newspaper as a monk, then it's gonna damage your training. You're gonna you will not make progress in your ordination, whether you ordain 1 year or 1 month or 1 year, not much progress. So be aware of this, find time to be secluded from those distractions. And number 5 is endowed with the right view. Okay, right view again is about having wisdom to understand why I become a monk. And when I become a monk, now I am a monk, what the monk should do, what the monk should think, what the monk should say, what kind of faith that I have toward the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and my teacher. From 0 to 10, you have been a monk 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. The score of your faith from 0 to 10, what is the number of your score of faith? The confidence in the teaching of the Buddha. What is the score of your mindfulness, maybe? What is the score of your moderation in eating? That's something, is coming down to having the right view of what you're supposed to do in order for you to be a good monk. Okay? So the monk should live mindful, or sati, and aware and sampajanya. This is my instruction to you, that the teaching of the Buddha. Every day, everything that you do, you mindful about your own action. Have this, continue to build these habits, okay? Because it's going to support every Dhamma that you practice when you are mindful. Okay, we will move on to the lecture number 10, which is supposed to be the today lecture, mainly. It's going to be the Dhamma Group 6. Okay. If Luang Pi speak too fast, maybe you can let me know. And you can relearn from this lecture, okay? Tonight or tomorrow morning, I will make sure that this file is uploaded. Okay, the lecture number 10 will be discuss the Dhamma Group 6. That means we have been discussed the Dhamma Group 2, right? 3, 4, 5. And now we come to 6, which of course, next week we'll move to 7, 8, and the 9 and the 10 will combine together in the last lecture. That means we have 3 more lectures to go. Okay, you can go ahead and read it by yourself. Prepare for the future lecture that come later on. So these are the topic of the Dhamma Group 6 that we will be covering. First is called the Six Reverences, or the Garava. What is Garava? Okay. Second is the virtue for fraternal living. There are many English vocabulary we can use, okay? I will share with you in a moment. Saraniyadhamma, the Dhamma that help us to live together in peace and harmony. And number 3 and 4, they go together. It's about Āyatana and the Viññāṇa. You may wondering, Luang Pi, what is Āyatana and what is Viññāṇa? We get to know them today. This is very important teaching when it comes to the advanced teaching, such as the 5 aggregate. We must know this term, and we must know what they are and how they work, and why the Buddha teach about this, and how can they cause us suffering. The teaching of the Buddha mainly is about suffering and how to deal with suffering. So everything that we learn here, we learn for the practical purpose. Of course, we learn the theory to know what it is, but ultimately, you should be able to put them into practice to lessen your problem, your issue, your suffering in life. If your life is already good, you have all of this as a tool that are available for you, that you can use them in the future or when you face a certain kind of situation. Like we learn about the 5 reflection, right? We get old, we get ill, we die, we have to separate, we subject to the law of karma. And why the Buddha suggests us, both lay person and monk, to reflect on this often. Often means don't have to be 1 time a day. You can do twice a day. That means the more, the better benefit that you gain by reflecting on these 5 things. So when you learn this, today onward, you put into practice right away. That's you get the most benefit out of you coming to this Dhamma study, okay? Not just to pass the exam. Passing the exam doesn't make your life happier. Okay, not at all. But it's something to tell the world that, okay, I study hard, so I passed the exam. The first one, when it's about the Garava. Garava means the reverences. What is the reverences? The Buddha said, respect the teacher and the teaching, which is the Buddha and the Dhamma, and the keen respect for the Sangha. In other words, you wisely respect the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. A bhikkhu or a man who respects heedfulness, this is another one, and hospitalities cannot decline, and has drawn near extinguishment. This is short but quite wonderful. Extinguishment refers to Nibbana. If you look at the last sentence, if you respect all of this, it drawn us near Nibbana. I said, wow, interesting. If we respect all of this, the teacher, the teaching, the Sangha, the heedfulness, and the hospitalities, it drawn us near Nibbana. That means this group of teaching is important, right? That's why the Buddha said, oh, you know what, you follow this. You develop attitude to respect, to find way to respect all of this that I mentioned. It will draw you, it will take you near Nibbana. The word Garava, the root word come from karu. Karu again means heavy, right? We learn about the karu kamma, the heavy kamma. The same root vocabulary stem from this word, the karu. Karu means heavy. When you respect someone, that means you heavily see their goodness. That's why you respect them. You wisely, you keenly observe the goodness of the person. Then you respect them wholeheartedly. The concept of recognizing and appreciating the virtue or positive qualities of a person or the thing to the extent that one feel compelled to express respect with genuine seriousness and sincerity. That's the idea of karu or Garava. Why we respect the Buddha? Why we respect his teaching or the Dhamma? Why we respect our teacher or the Sangha? Oh, because, I recognizing and appreciating the virtue of those persons, the positive quality in them, and it makes me feel compelled to express my respect, my gratitude toward them. That's the idea of Garava. There are 6 kinds of Garava. First is respect or reverence the Buddha. Second, respect the Dhamma. The third, respect the Sangha. And number 4, respect the training or the Sikha. And number 5, respect the heedfulness or non-carelessness. And number 6, respect the hospitalities. These are the 6 items on the list of Garava. Why we should respect the triple gems? The Buddha gems, the Dhamma gem, and the Sangha gem, right? These called the triple gems. Buddhist people, we respect these 3 gems the most. The question is why? The triple gems consider the refuge. We seek refuge to the triple gems. We rely on the triple gems. That's the idea of most Buddhist people. And if we ask them, why do you respect the triple gem? You should have that answer because you're following the teaching of the Buddha, right? Use this definition. You recognize, you appreciate the virtue of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and it makes you feel compelled to express your gratitude toward them. When you see the Buddha image, when you drive past the Buddha, the temple or the Buddha image, why you pay respect, why you have to do something, why you feel something. When you see the image of the Buddha, or even when you have the chanting book, you're not gonna step on the chanting book, or you're not gonna throw the chanting book away just like the regular books. You respect even the book with the picture of the Buddha on top of the book. Why is that? The Buddha, we learn the quality of the Buddha, right? The Buddha is a self-enlightenment. The Buddha was a man, just like us. He realized the nature of life, the truth of life. He spent 6 years torture himself and discover the nature of the true nature of life, and then he shared with us. If you study the Buddhist text more enough, you will appreciate the Buddha more than what you have at the moment. That's why I ask you, all of these 3 gems, scale from 0 to 10, what is your faith level toward them? What would be your number? 10 out of 10, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, or the Buddha 10, the Dhamma 9, the Sangha 5 maybe. You should have this indicator to check yourself, the level of faith toward the triple gems when it's come to be the student of the Buddha. The Buddha, without the Buddha, we wouldn't know the truth of life, right? That we born ignorance. There's a law of karma, do bad, get bad, do good, get good. Because human born in the past, born with ignorance. When human being face suffering or challenging in life, they will seek the relief through the sacred shrine, the sacred mountain, the sacred trees, and pray and beg and do something to comfort them. Hopefully the problem will go away. Even the time before the Buddha. That's because of ignorance. So we may give the credit to the super being out there, so we may worshipping someone that we don't even know. Hopefully the problem in life or the problem that we are facing will go away. The Buddha observed all of these phenomena, and he suggests us that, you know what, you are the person in charge of your life. You are the captain of your own life. You can direct your life to be anywhere, to be anyone you want to be the best version of yourself. No problem. You do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. You take control of your life. Don't blame anything in this world. You may born poor, but you can die rich. Don't have to accept what life give it to you and die poor. That's not the teaching of the Buddha. That's the beauty of the teaching. So you're in charge of your own life. It's okay, we born already. Whatever condition of life at the moment that we born, family, relationship, health, financial, it's okay. You don't have to give up. You don't have to surrender. You can work on that to be a better version of yourself. Keep on working on yourself, and that's the teaching. Okay, so not only that, the Buddha, the Buddha teach the Dhamma, right? The Buddha teach the Dhamma that he discovered through his enlightenment. He see it through. Another name of the Buddha is not only the awakened being. He awakened to the truth of nature. He also called the knower of the world. So he know the world from inside out. The first world is this world. You and me is one world. One life is one world. We know the mind. He know his own mind from inside out. And the second meaning of the world is the physical world, the galaxies, the solar system, the universe. And not only that, the 31 realms or plane of existence. So he know them all. So that's why the teaching of the Buddha, when one practice the teaching of the Buddha, we secure our success and happiness not only in this life, including the life after death. You can choose where to reborn. That's very beautiful, right? If you do good, you're born in good life. If you do bad, again, you're born in unhappy realms. That's the consequence, which again, we may not be able to prove it at the moment because we don't have that ability. But the Buddha said, you following this, you meditate, then you get to see what I see. Simple is that. There's no secret. You can do what he can do. You can do what the great monk in the past can do. So he just give out all of his wisdom. It depends on the student willing to accept or not. And the third gem is the Sangha, right? The Sangha gem is the group of people who study, who protect, who preserve the Dhamma. That's why we should respect the Sangha. For you to come to this Dhamma study, you come to learn from the monk. There are many monks here who dedicate their time, their energy to study Dhamma and share with you. You just come and grab it and put into practice. It shortens your study journey. And there are many great teachers out there who teach meditation, who teach the sutra, who train the monks, who train the lay people, who render to the local communities, who build a school for the underprivileged students here. There are many movements in the Sangha in Thailand to reach out and help people. So if we respect the teacher, then we gain the most out of the wisdom that he wants to give. So that's the idea of why we should respect. So 5 times to reflect on this. Why should I respect the Buddha? Why should I respect the Dhamma? Why should I respect the teacher or the Sangha? Sangha is a group of monks, not just one individual. But one monk we call bhikkhu. A bhikkhu means one monk. You and me, one monk. But many monks together we call the group of Sangha. Okay? In many countries in this world, Theravada Buddhism in Southeast Asia, Mahayana Buddhism in China, in the Taiwan, right? Tibetan Buddhism in Tibet. So there are many groups of Buddhist monks, many schools that continue to contribute the teaching of the Buddha in their own way. That's the beauty of the Sangha communities. And that's the number 1, number 2, number 3, right? Respect the Buddha, respect the Dhamma. And now we move to number 4, respect the training. What is the training? The training, the Pali called the Sikha. You think of training as the education. Respect education. Life is about ongoing to educate, right? To learn. That's how we grow. We learn, we have the right input, then we can improve ourselves. So we should respect the education and train oneself to be a better person, especially when you come to become a monk. There are 3 things that the Buddha suggests you to educate or to intensively develop or train yourself. First, develop your sila. Second, develop your mind through the meditation and mindfulness practice. And the third is to develop panya or the teaching of the Buddha, to see if you can utilize that teaching that you learn to relieve yourself or free yourself from suffering that you are facing. This is the job that everyone who come to the teaching of the Buddha to continue to develop or train for the rest of our life, both monk and the lay people. Don't let go precept. Whatever life situation that you may be facing, don't let go meditation, even though you may feel like, I don't make any progress, teacher. I have been sitting 1 year, 2 years. Don't just quit. You're working on it. Every time you sit, the mind getting better. It's maybe 1 or 2%. You may not feel it right away, but something is happening inside your mind. And don't let go, okay, to hang yourself in the circle of learning. Continue to develop wisdom. This is how you grow, both in the worldly life and in the spiritual life. So we must respect the education. Without education, how can we grow, right? How can we grow? The Buddha just also give us the framework. Okay, you focus on this one, the precept, the meditation, and the panya. And now we come to the respect of the heedfulness. What it mean by respect the heedfulness? Heedfulness, the Buddha said, if someone being heedful, that person is considered, even though he is still alive, but he considered a dead person. That's quite interesting. Person who live life carelessly is the same as person who already dead. The Buddha point to the word sati and sampachanya, okay, or mindfulness and the clear comprehension, moment to moment. If you live life like this, that means you live life non-carelessness or heedfulness, because you are mindful of what you do and you are aware of what's happening in the mind. If you are mindful all the time, most likely you would be able to maintain the wholesome state of mind, to think before you say things, to think before you do things, which is prevent you from having done a negative karma into your life. Because whatever we do, there will be a consequence, right? And the second idea to look at this is to be aware of time. Time in life is short. Human lifespan is less than 100 years, we all die. 100 years ago, we didn't exist. 100 years from now, we all go somewhere. We don't know. But we're not going to be here. So if we are aware that life is short, time is limited, We will live life non-carelessly. We will be smart of spending our time of what to do each day. Just like you guys come to the class, you invest your time into this Dhamma study. This is something that will, it's obvious that you invest your time into the right thing. You invest time to gain wisdom, and when you have wisdom, you can take care of yourself, and you can take care of people around you. So 75 years is the human average age, which is not long. If someone die at the age of 75, it's normal to die. If someone live longer than that, they are fortunate. If someone die before that, it's quite too soon to die. But no matter what, we die anyway. So we shouldn't be careless. If today anything that causes you unhappy, feel suffering, feel guilty of your own action, if possible, if you can let that go before you go to bed, that would be awesome. Sleep with a peaceful mind. Say, Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Mom, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I was so, naive of my decision this morning. Please forgive me. Tomorrow I'll fix it. If you can tell them you love them, if you can tell them you forgive them, then that night you can sleep in peace, because you may not know whether you will wake up tomorrow or not. That's the time, the idea of not being careless. Like a friend of mine, the story that I just share with you. He had no time to say goodbye. He has no time to, make all the plan before he leave. It's just there's no time. We cannot negotiate with death. You know what? Give me 1 day or 24 hours. I'll come back and die. We cannot do that. It just come and just take your life away just like that. And the thing about my friend, he's left 1 million baht in the bank. He cannot use it. And who's going to use it? He just bought a new Porsche, parked in his garage, drove it a few times. And who's going to drive it? That's you have no negotiate when death comes. So you cannot live life carelessly. You have to be mindful of your own action. That's the idea of living life, not careless. And usually people careless when they, number one, this is the trap of carelessness, when they are happy. Second, when they are success. And the third thing that people trap, the goodness. What it means by that, when you are happy, you don't think of coming to the temple, right? Or making merit. Life is good. People come to the temple when they are suffering. Oh, teacher, Luang Pi, help me. My wife has cancer, myself, have car accident, heartbroken, lost my job. Please give me a blessing. So hopefully life will getting better. When you are happy, you neglect to do good, neglect to meditate, neglect to observe precept. That's careless. Continue to secure precept, continue to meditate, no matter what circumstances in life that you are facing. Success, when people have success in life, people usually have a careless mind. I'm smart, I know how to do it. When problem come, I know how to fix it. I was thinking of the Olympic athlete. People who win the gold medal in the Olympic level, these athletes, they train themselves every single day, 4 years, 5 years before they get to the Olympic, right? You think of 100-meter race. People who run, in 100 meters, they compete in 100 meters. The less than 10 seconds this day, the statistic, less than 10 seconds for running 100 meters. But before they can get to that race, they run every single day. But win or lose, it's only less than 10 seconds. Usually the athlete don't think, I can make it. I'm going to run today and I'm going to take a break a week. No, they practice, they train themselves every day to make sure that they can get to that speed within 10 seconds in 100 meters race. That's why they continue to be success, right? And the third one is about goodness. People usually feel like, I have done enough merit. I donate a lot of money. I observe precept from time to time. I study Dhamma. Sometimes I observe 8 precepts. I help the monk. Well, let me take a break. Too much merit for me for now. This idea is careless. There's no such thing called too much merit, okay? The more the merrier. Who know? Today you healthy, tomorrow you may not, you may falling ill because disease may come. All of a sudden cannot meditate for some reason. Physical pain, back pain, anything may come. If you feel like I have done enough merit, this is definitely is a careless thought. Okay, continue to do good, because the cycle of existence is very long. After we die, the life after death is the life that we enjoy the fruit of our own action when we were alive. But the life here at the human realm is the life of create the condition to live better in the future. So the more good condition you create for yourself, okay, the more good life you will have in the future. Born healthy because of the precept you observe, right? Born rich because of the generosity that you practice, the donation that you made. Born smart because you study Dhamma and you practice meditation every day. You create the condition, and then that action, it will yield the result to you, okay, later on in the future. And reverence for the hospitalities, this one also interesting. Hospitality mean what? When someone come to your place, come to your school, come to your office, do you take care of them well? Or you have the stingy mind or the narrow-minded, not very welcome people, not very supportive. So there are two things that you can support, right? First, the material thing, the house, the food, the car, shelter, clothes, material thing basically. That's one way. And the second thing, when you come to the Dhamma study, this one, I like you to start to practice more. Okay? Because in these two things, the Buddha said, respect the Dhamma, hospitality, or give the Dhamma. Okay, it's better than give. It's better than all kind of gift. It surpasses all gift. You can give material things to people. People feel appreciated. But if you give them the right view of life, give them the right understanding of observing precept, meditation, making donation or dana or study Dhamma, all of this, it will give the benefit for them in the long term. So they have come to the Dhamma, they can put into practice, and they can teach people around them to practice the Dhamma. So this is the respect of the hospitality. And according to the law of karma, whatever you do will come back to you. The more you give, the more you gain. The more you give, the more you get. The more the mind will attract, the goodness come back to yourself. Both material thing, friendship, relationships, or the good opportunity will come because your mind is attract. Your mind is wholesome, and wholesome mind will attract wholesome thing into your life, and that's how the mind works. So now you learn a lot of Dhamma. It maybe you can put it into practice of how can you share the Dhamma when people come to visit you, when people come to your life, and show them the wisdom that you have learned. Okay. Now we come to almost the last one. This is called the 6 conditions that conducive to friendship, amiability, or the unity of the groups that the Buddha suggests. Is that engender feelings of endearment, engender feelings of respect that leading to a sense of fellowship, a lack of dispute, okay, less problem, a harmony, and the state of unities. There are conditions, 6 conditions that lead to all of this taught by the Buddha. So if you live with people, in fact, anywhere in this world, wherever you go, you're not alone. You're going to have to live with people. And most people, like I said, people don't know all of this, the precept, the meditation, the loving kindness. People lack of this kind of wisdom. So in other words, we live, wherever we go, we meet with ignorant people. And when ignorant people live with ignorant people, we tend to make a mistake, and we tend to run into conflict between each other. So by following this instruction, it helps to unify the group. It helps to bring the harmony to the group of the people that we're living in. Okay, if each individual in the group understand this and practice this together, especially among a group of monks. First, to be friendly in your action, in open and in private. What does it mean? friendly in your bodily actions, to be kind in your bodily action to your friends, to people, even at home, okay? Family member, if they understand this concept and they put into practice, this would be a wonderful house to live together. Same thing in the temple. If every monk in the same temple practice according to this teaching, those temple will be the harmonious temple with peace and happiness, and conducive for the spiritual trainings. Be friendly in deeds, in open and private. That means you are kind with your own action. You reach out to help your friends. If you see the garbage, can you just pick up? Can you just make sure it's clean? Even nobody see it. You develop the sense of belonging. Even though I'm a new monk, but nobody own the temple. Ideally, the temple belong to the Sangha. I just ordained 1 month, 2 months. So you can develop the sense of belonging, and everything is my business. You don't feel, please don't think like it's none of my business. I see the water is dropping. I see the light turn on. I just walk past by. I see the floor is dirty with a lot of garbage. I just neglect it and I just want to go meditate only. So you don't really care these environments. You don't really care this minor thing that you see. And that will cause the problem, will cause the conflict in the group. And if 10 monks live together, but the temple is very dirty, and that tell the lay people that, hey, these monks, what are they doing? They call themselves a virtuous person, and how come they cannot keep the temple clean? How come the toilet is unclean? So you share toilet, you share the laundry area, you share the sleeping area, you eat together, you sleep together. Do you help each other to do the dishes? Do you help each other to clean the temple with kind heart? Okay, that's called bodily action. If you do this, that's good. That's the first condition that will bring harmony to the group. If people need help, we go help. If they do the chore, if the group decided to help each other to clean the house or to clean the meditation hall, and you don't show up, that means you neglect this. Okay, this kind of kindness. And the second thing is be friendly in word. This is about your speech, about the way we communicate to each other, both in private and in open. Open means, the person that you talk is in front of you. In private means they don't there, but you talk about them behind their back. That's the idea of gossiping. This is not good. You should be kind. What you say should bring peace and harmony. What you say should come from the loving kindness mind. Not only is the truth, it's beneficial, right? It's the right timing, and it must come from the kind heart. Not say because you want people to look bad or say the word that hurt people's feelings. That is not nice. And the third one is about the thought, okay? Openly and in private. The way you think toward people around you should be kind. And among, I think, number one quality of every monk, or perhaps every human being, should possess is the kind heart, is the loving kindness heart. Because all of us, monk or lay people, good and bad people, we subject to this law of karma, right? This law of nature. We born, we ill, we get we born, we get ill, eventually we die and we separate. We subject to all of this. So we should be kind to each other. And with the kind thought, people can feel it from the way you look at them, from the sparkling in your eye, and from the way you say things, the way you do things. People can feel it. And that's because it comes from your kind heart, your good thinking. And number 4, to share the lawful gains with virtuous fellow. This means you share, okay? We share whatever we have. Monk life is very clear example. Monk, we don't have salary. We live together. If you need rope, you go get rope. We get food, we share whatever food we get from the lay people. We don't keep it for ourselves. If 5 monks go arms round and you come back, you only get sticky rice and 3 eggs. You have to manage that, make sure that everyone get equal share, get enough egg, enough rice. That's called sharing. Not like, oh, I'm a big brother, I get 2 eggs for myself and the rest you guys share with each other. That's not nice as a big brother. So we share. And when there's a buffet line, you walk in line, you get food, right? You think of the monk behind you, the monk brother who come later. If there are only a few things on the plate, you make sure that you take enough for yourself, to get start first, and then you can come back the second round. Give a chance for the young monk who come later, who get in line to get the food that they might like it. Sometimes there's maybe 5 shrimps, but 7 monk, 8 monk, but only 5 shrimp. So not everyone get shrimp. So we should be smart how to manage this. Make sure everyone get to get the food that they need. This is the sharing. This is the power of giving. As a husband and wife, as a father and children, so if we find a way to give each other, right? Like on your birthday, on some special day, there are gifts that given to people in the family. That's also fall into this category of the this virtue of sharing. And number 5, to keep without blemish the rules and conduct, along with one fellows openly and in private. Now we're talking about sila. We observe the same rules that help create less conflict in the group. Everyone follow the same rules. If husband and wife observe 5 precepts, that's good start. If husband drink and wife doesn't, husband gambling, wife doesn't, wife want to give, husband said no, then there is a problem. Because this go together. Tithi is will. The will of the wife said, I want to observe 5 precepts. I want to get married. So I observe 5 precepts. I make donation. But husband said, he has different will. No benefit of giving, no benefit of observing precept. A person with 2 different views will end up having conflict because they see things differently. Monk, we observe more than 200 rules. No matter who you are, where you're from. You may come from America, come from Australia, come from China, come from Thailand, from Buddhist or non-Buddhist. If you sign up to be a monk, you follow the same rules. And you must understand those rules. And if everyone understands the rules and follow the same rule, that help lessen the conflict in the group. Wake up the same time, make sure everything cleans, everything organized, follow all the rules that lay down, all of this, it helps lessen the conflict in the group. Then we can have a conducive environment to sit and meditate, to study Dhamma. Otherwise, we will run into conflict all the time. If everyone eat, but nobody do the dishes, then there's a problem, right? And nobody empty the garbage bin, then there's a problem. There's a conflict in the group. And that's because of the view. Okay, so number 6 is the view. And all of this, number 6 is probably the most important. Because of view, you want to observe precept, you respect the precept. And because of view, you want to share what you have. And because of view, you want to think good, say good, and do good to your friends. Because you see it through, there will be the consequence of me think like this, of me say something like this, of me do something like this to my friend. There will be a negative consequence and the positive consequence that may come. So I choose to say, to think of something good, so I can bring the peace and harmony to my family or my group. That's the idea of this one. Okay, now we get to another topic, which is the last one of today. It's a little bit not difficult, but a little bit complicated because it's involved with the new Pali term that you may not familiar with. And preparing you for the advanced Dhamma later on. We will be learning the Āyatana, the Viññāṇa, and the Phassa. All of these are the 3 important Pali terms that Dhamma students should understand. Āyatana is the sense field or the sense base. Viññāṇa is the consciousness. You can think of Viññāṇa as consciousness. And Phassa is a contact. Okay? Human being, we have body and we have the mind. And the body, this one is the body, and this is the mind. This we call the 5 aggregate. We communicate to the world outside through this mind. But the mind rely on the body, right? The mind rely on the body. So before the mind can feel, can perceive, can think, the mind must receive information through these 5 sense door. to the eye, the ear, the nose, the body, the tongue, right? So if there is a picture, then the mind see that picture. With eye consciousness, then we know what it is. If there is no eye consciousness, we don't know what in front of us. Even though maybe your friend stand in front of you, but your mind was thinking of something else. So your mind consciousness is not with the object in front of you. So you don't even know that is my friends. That's the idea how we communicate between the internal world and the external world. So the consciousness is here. Let's touch a little bit on the concept of the five aggregate. Five aggregate, there's the body, there's the mind, right? 4 of this plus 1 of this become 5. It's called 5 aggregate or 5 heaps, 5 collection that make us a human being. This is the true nature of human being. The body composed of earth, water, fire, and air. These are the 4 great elements that make body the body. And when the body die, all of these elements go back to the nature, right? Earth element, something solid, like the bone, the tissue. Water element, something liquid, right? We have blood in the body. The fire element, we have temperature in the body. And the air element, we have to breathe in and breathe out all the time. So this make body the body. That's why we need to eat food. That's why we drink water. That's why we put the clothes on. That's why we continue to breathe, because we need this element to maintain the physical body. And that's the body part. But the body is nothing without the mind. If the body and there is no mind, that's called a dead body. It doesn't need to walk, doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to do things. But with the mind, then that makes human being, a complete human being. And again, if the mind without the body, sometimes we call spirit, sometimes we call ghost. It depends on our understanding about this phenomena. So the body and the mind make human being a complete human being. And the mind itself has 4 factors, right? The mind can feel, the mind can perceive or memorize, and the mind can think. But all of these 3 things cannot be happening without mind consciousness. Without mind consciousness, which I hope you to get to this concept today. And this is the reason, if we understand today's concept, we would understand the idea behind each emotion or feeling that we are facing or experience that we had on a day-to-day basis. Wake up in the morning feeling happy, go to work feeling sad, get excited, in the afternoon getting fear, worry about something, and come back home also, face some other experience or some feeling that you may not be happy. This is life. But all of this can be managed, it's manageable through mindfulness, through awareness, to understand how all of this related to each other and how the mind works. Let me show you this picture. This file already sent it to you, okay? Just go through this real quick. The eye consciousness, right? The Pali called Chakku Viññāṇa, okay? Just know, okay? I will not test you the Pali in the exam. The ear consciousness, Sota Viññāṇa. The nose consciousness is called Kāna Viññāṇa. The tongue consciousness is called Chiuha Viññāṇa. The body consciousness is called Kaya Viññāṇa. And the mind consciousness is called Mano, okay? Mano Viññāṇa. Mano Viññāṇa. So Viññāṇa is a consciousness. You have ability. This consciousness allow us to know what it is that we are experiencing. And without having contact, again, we wouldn't know what it is. If the eye is blind, you don't see the object. So there is no feeling go after that because there's no input come to your eye. Contact allow the input process, okay, to be fulfilled. And then the mind can give the meaning of what it is. So we have eye contact, we have ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, and mind contact, which correspond to each sense object. This one, I think this picture may easier to understand. Okay, this one. The sense object correspond to the sense base, right? This is the outer world, and this is the inner world in the body. The body has 6 doors of sense. The eye see the form, right? The ear hear the sound. The nose can smell. The tongue can taste. The body can feel the touch. and the mind can think. The mind can think. And everything that comes to each door of sense, this 6 door, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, it will go to the mind. It's called perception because of the contact. Because of the contact. What is contact again? This one. This is the process of contact. Contact means the eye see the form. Form is here. The eye see the form, and there is eye consciousness. Okay, when these 3 things arise together, the contact process is complete. Then this cycle will begin. The cycle will begin. If one of these missing, this one, 2, one of this, 1, 2, 3 thing missing, then there is no contact. The contact process is being cut off. So we will not feel anything, right? Like this. If you see form, the eye sees something, that information go to the mind. It's go to the mind. You perceive. When you perceive, you know what it is. This is the dog, this is the cat, this is the car, this is a man, this is a woman, this is Mary, this is John. Perception is your memory. When you see, you know. And when you know, it gives rise to the mental formation. You will think of that thing that you see. And it gives rise to the feeling. Like or don't like or neutral. And when there is a feeling, be careful because craving is waiting there. Feeling is the trigger of the craving. And if we have craving, we usually end up suffering or dukkha. This is the driving force behind the behavior that leads us to be suffering. When you see the object we like, we tend to want to have it. And then we go after it, go buy it, even though we may not need it. Let's say you walk down the shopping mall, right? Especially women. Everything, whether it's on sale or not, it's easy to catch your attention. New clothes, new shoes, new bag, you see it. When you see the sign on sale, your eye is like, wow, I have to check it out. And then it's go to your eyes, go to your mind. This brand is good, and now it's on sale. Mental formation start to formulate your thinking. You know what, let's check it out. And then, the price is good, let's buy it. Even though you don't have intention to go buy stuff like this at the beginning, you just, browsing around. And then you buy it, and then you like it, then you have to buy it. You may use your credit card, you may borrow someone money, and then you get something that you don't really need it. Some people even have, a credit card debt because of this habit. So they end up suffering at the end of the month. And I don't know if you familiar with this, which eventually you're going to come across the teaching of the dependent origination. This is quite deep, or paticca samuppabbada. The Buddha explained the detail of the second and the third noble truth in this process. What is dependent origination? Dependent origination, to keep it simple, is the process of how dukkha come about. If you see the first one on the list, at the beginning of the cycle, there are 12 things on this cycle. This is number 1, and we end up the first one and the last one. This is dukkha. This is suffering. Suffering comes from ignorance. That's the starting point. But in the second noble truth, we learn that suffering comes from craving or tanha, right? This one. The Buddha did not explain ignorance in the first teaching in the Dhammacakka. He explained later on. But he pointed all kind of problem in life to the idea of craving. If you crave for something, you're going to end up suffering because that craving drives by ignorance. If you let go craving, then there is no suffering. Simple formula, but it's difficult to do. Here, I just want to show you. This is called the sense base, this one, right? If we start from here, let's put the number here, number 1. This is the sense base, your eye, your ear, your nose, your tongue, your taste, your body, right? When there is a sense base and there is a contact, this is number 2. Contact means what? Your eye see the form, and with eye consciousness arise, you know what it is that you see. And right away when you see something, feeling, perception, thinking, happening almost simultaneously. You see the image of the car, you know what kind of car, you know good car or bad car, you know you like it or you don't like it. It's happening almost simultaneously. That's called the contact. And number 3, this is what happening. It gives rise to feeling. You will feel something toward what come to your eye. And that feeling give rise to tanha, this one. And tanha will cause us to be suffering later on. So if you can be mindful at this phase, if you are mindful of what you see, what you hear, what you think, then you most likely you will lessen the power of tanha. You can lessen the power of tanha, which you will not be bothered with this. The same example, if you see something you like at the shopping mall, when you know that you start to like something and you can catch that feeling, you have a pause moment to reflect, should I buy it or should I not buy it? Otherwise, it will become it's almost autopilot for you to buy things, because we usually enslaved to tanha or craving. We want something, we just going to get it anyway, no matter what condition of the condition that we have, whether we have money or not. If I want it, I'm going to find a way to have it, right? And then we end up suffering later on. Okay, so this term, I like you to understand it, and not only that, please find a way to remember them, because it's going to be useful for your Dhamma study later on. Okay, the eye see the form, eye consciousness, right? The ear hear the sound, the nose can smell, the body can touch, and the tongue can taste, and the mind can think, mental object. This is called Viññāṇa, or consciousness, and this is called the sense field. Sense field related to the sense object, right? And with that there is a contact, and with contact when contact happen with the consciousness. In other words, if you are conscious of what you see or what you hear, then the process will continue, which is the process that can lead us to be suffering, or the process that can lead us to be happiness. If we are mindful, we can do something about that. We don't let that process to be autopilot like this. What we see, we like, and then we feel. Every feeling is come with, it will trigger the tanha. When it triggers the tanha, then you can be prepared for the problem or the suffering, okay? Whether small or big later on. Okay, that's the idea of what we supposed to know today. And another thing, just for add-on information to you, this one, when you study the second noble truth later on, you will come across tanha. And tanha, in this case, Venerable Sariputta point to these 3 things. This will give rise to tanha, because when the eye see the form, right, we crave for form because what we see. When the ear hear the sound, we will crave for the sound, the beautiful song. Same thing, the nose, the body touch, the tongue, and the thought. All of this, they are the door that they should be guarded. You should be guarded all of these doors mindfully. Otherwise, if you give rise to the tanha, and that tanha will lead us to do something, right? If we like, we go get it. If we don't like, we either run away from it or fight with it. And that's bothering us, that cause us suffering. So, and that's the idea of the Āyatana, or the sense base, and the Viññāṇa, or the consciousness, and the Phassa, that I would like you to understand. This one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Please go back and reflect to see if you have understand, to see if you understand better, or if you have any question, again, feel free to let me know. Okay, Any question, any thought, something you like to ask or share before we finish? I also have the reference for you guys that if you like to check on the sutra, okay, in the file that I sent. It's always beneficial if you have a chance to read the full sutra by yourself. Okay, I know it's quite a lot of information in this one lecture. We combine lecture number 9, lecture number 10 together. But as I mentioned earlier, the Dhamma Group 5 is something that we're familiar with. We talk about the karma a little bit, the subject, daily reflection, getting old, getting ill, die, and separation, and the benefit of listening to the Dhamma, the 5 hindrances, and the quality of the new monks. Okay, that should be easy for you guys to follow. And this lecture number 10, we focus on something new to you. For some of you, this may be the first time you heard about it, but it's okay. This is the journey of learning. We learn about the 6 Garava, 6 Reverences. We learn about how to live together in peace and harmony by utilizing this concept, the Saraniyadhamma, and also the idea of Āyatana and Viññāṇa and the Phassa or contact, which preparing you for the advanced Dhamma later on. Okay.
It's good to see you, by the way.
Thank you, me too.
So from my understanding, our great master Long Pu, he rediscovered Vijayadhammakaya, and with the discovery of the meditation practice, then he was studying from the Tripitaka or some other kind of books and knowledges, and then he was seeing if it's resonating with the meditation, which is the Vijayadhammakaya, and whatever it was resonating, then that would be the right knowledge. Now, my question is this also how it goes with the Lord Buddha? Because all of this knowledge that we get, it's knowledge from the Tripitaka from more than 2,500 years ago. And today's science and psychology can confirm already most of it, rather than the ones that it's beyond the physical eye, which is through the mind.
Okay.
So now my question is, did the Lord Buddha also had some other parts of where he was studying and then he was taking whatever it is, right? Or all the knowledge came just purely from his enlightenment? Because I know there is also the law of karma from the Hindus, from Bhagavad Gita, right? 5,000 years ago.
Yep.
So I'm curious about the interconnectedness.
Thanks for the question. That's wonderful. Okay. If you study the life of the Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha to be, he was a very young, smart teenager, right? He curious about life. What he experienced in the palace, something is not right. With the keen sense of observation, he start to look for what bothering him. And he start to pick up information. He learned along the way. See dead people, ill people. His father gets sick. His mother die. He see aesthetic, and that is the process of accumulating wisdom to fix whatever he doesn't feel right. And when he get to the point where he's no longer enjoy the life here, he feel like I have to leave and go find the answer. So the first thing he did was to look for the teacher. Back then there was no book, no class to attend. You need to go learn from your teacher physically. You have to be there. So he went there and learned from the 2 great teachers. Happened to be the great meditator back then, the most well-known 2 teachers. So he went there and learned from both of them. At no time he learned everything from the 2 teachers, and he feel like it's not enough. Whatever I can do as you can do, even though the teacher said this is the state of peace where a man can attain, but he feel like, oh, whatever is bothering me is still there. So he reject that invitation. So he decided to quit and look for the solution on his own. So first of all, of course, we need to look for a way to for wisdom from book, from teacher, right? But there was no book. The shortcut is to go find someone who already good in that field. Perhaps you can get to the answer quicker. That's what the Prince Siddhartha did, or the Buddha to be did. But he reject, invitation to stay with the teacher. And he went torture himself for 6 years. That's, again, is another learning process. Perhaps this practice can help me to fix whatever bothering me, to heal my suffering, my problem. He did not cause suffering. Something is not right in his mind. So he tortured himself with the supporting of the five aesthetic. And he has gone to the ultimate practice of self-mortification where no man had gone before. He said, nobody can do this. I have come to the farthest way of self-tormentation. When he touched his stomach, he felt the spine. So he felt this is not the way out. So he stopped torturing himself. And he realized that, you know what, let me show you this. So after he stopped torturing himself, he started taking care of himself, taking a shower, eating food, and rest, And he recalled that, hey, when I was young, when I was sitting there while my father was, taking care of the ceremony, it's like an agricultural ceremony, a plucking ceremony. He was sitting there underneath of the rose apple tree, with quite secluded from the sense pleasure. He said that's the first time he experienced in his meditation. This is what happened to him. Quite secluded from sense pleasure, secluded from unwholesome state. I enter upon abide the first jhana. He called it the first jhana, which is accompanied by apply and sustain thought with rapture, pleasure born out of seclusion. Could that be the path to enlightenment? Then following on that memory, you see, he came to realize that that is indeed the path to enlightenment. So he confident that what happened, what he had experienced when he was young in his first meditation, he called it the jhana. That gives him some hope that this must be the way that lead him to enlightenment. And with that confidence, he sit and he work on his own mind, and he achieved enlightenment on that night. So wisdom in Buddhism, there are 3 levels, as you may know, right? You learn. That's the first one. The second, you reflect, or we call reflective wisdom. But the third one is not this. This is called bhavana maya panya. It's the wisdom that comes from mind development, or you can call meditation. This kind of wisdom doesn't come from thinking, doesn't come from seeing. Doesn't come from talking to anybody. It's come from you see. And what it means by see mean not see from this physical eye, but it see from the inner eye. Okay, one more slide. Because if we understand this, it give us an idea that, hey, Dhamma is more than we understand. It's much more than that. This one. In the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, right? People talk about sense pleasure or self-mortification. These 2 practices will lead to mental liberation. But the Buddha done all of these 2 things. He achieved nothing. He said, you know what? If you ordain, you look for mental liberation, you stop doing this. You following this one. The third one is called the middle way, which point to the Noble Eightfold Path. And that's when someone walk down this path, first thing you will develop vision, you see? Vision refer to eye. In this case, this eye is not the physical eye for sure. It's the inner eye or the Dhamma eye that he developed through his advanced meditation. And when he get this eye, it make the knowledge. So the eye can see. When you see, you know. And not only that, that knowledge come with peace. You see, knowledge in Dhamma come with peace. That's why meditation is another, for me, is another name for happiness. When you sit, you feel happy from day one until the day that you realize Nibbana or ultimate peace. And that gives rise to the super knowledge, Abhinhapaccavekkhana, the knowledge to recall his own past life, the knowledge to recall other being past life, that make you understand the law of karma, because now you have the tool to see. If you have these two, you can go back and verify where you come from. You can go back and check why this guy born like this and died like this. You see the whole story, and there's no doubt because you actually see it from your own self through this inner eye that you develop, and that lead to awakening, lead to Nibbana. You see, the process of realize Nibbana, one must start walk down this path, and to get first step is to develop the vision or the inner eye. When you chant Dhammacak, you say Chakhu Karani. Chakhu Karani lead to Jnana Karani. Jnana means knowledge. all the way to Nibbana. So same thing with Luang Pu. Okay, Luang Pu have a better chance because he can read the Dhamma or the Buddhist text that kept 25 years ago. So he has some idea of the teaching, he has some idea of meditation, but it's just the theory. And the first vocabulary that got his attention is ignorant or avijja, which is somehow is just a perfect and wonderful word to start off with, because how smart people, just think outside the box. Avijja happened to be the first thing on the list in the dependent origination. This is the starting point of suffering. So this word catch his eye, but he didn't know the meaning. He cannot understand Pali when he first ordained. And that motivated him to study Pali, to know the sutra, the Mahasatipatthana Sutra. How? Because that sutra, the Buddha point directly to the path of liberation. So he got himself education, 5 ways to come to Bangkok and study Pali and be able to fluent enough to study Bali on his own, so he understand what it means. Because back then there was no translation from Pali to Thai. If a monk want to know the teaching, the monk have to study Pali. And that's the, he learned 10 years. He feel like still, I don't make progress in my meditation. He learned theory, he go learn meditation from many teachers. So at the 12th Pansa, he stopped, he meditate. And with his perfection that he has been accumulate. Same thing with the Buddha to be, who happened to accumulate a perfection for a countless lifetime, right? So at 7 years old, he sit and he attained the jhana. Same thing, wise people, smart people who accumulate wisdom for a very long time. When he see the word avijja, when he get to see a certain Dhamma that got him thinking, then he start looking for the answer. And then he find the answer to his own meditation practice, which is again, it lead to the third level of wisdom in Buddhism, or bhavana maya panya, the panya or understanding that come from seeing, not from thinking. We only have 3 more classes to go. Again, everyone should be able to fulfill mission, okay, and complete the journey together. My job is to make sure everyone gets there, okay? All right, so we'll pay respect to the Triple Gem and take a break.